Everybody got something wrong about UFC Freedom 250. The fans got it wrong. The analysts got it wrong. The betting odds got it wrong. And by the end of the night, the entire UFC landscape looked different than anyone expected. This wasn't just another fight card. This was a reality check. Tonight, we're breaking down what actually happened, why it happened, and which fighters completely changed their futures in the process. Let's start with Diego Lopes. Coming into this fight, a lot of people thought Steve Garcia was the dark horse. Garcia's pressure had become a major talking point. Some fans believed he could overwhelm Lopes and expose holes in his game. For a while, it looked like they might have been right. Garcia marched forward from the opening bell. No hesitation, no fear. He was willing to stand directly in front of one of the division's most dangerous finishers. Lopes struggled early. He couldn't quite find the distance. Garcia's pressure disrupted his rhythm and forced him to reset repeatedly. Then the fight changed. Once Lopes found the range, the violence started. The combinations became cleaner. The timing became sharper. Suddenly, Garcia wasn't pressuring anymore. He was surviving. That's what everyone got wrong. People forgot that Lopes doesn't need many opportunities. He only needs one opening. And once he finds it, bad things happen. The win immediately puts him back into the contender conversation. But here's the scary part. What if this version of Lopes is still improving? Then came Nickal. And once again, the conversation before the fight turned out to be completely wrong. For months, critics have questioned whether Nickal was too dependent on wrestling. Can he strike? Can he finish elite opponents? Can he handle adversity? Tonight, he answered all three questions. Nickal imposed his will from the start. He controlled the pace. He controlled the positioning. And when Gaethje gave him an opening, he closed the show. Quickly, decisively, efficiently. This wasn't a wrestler surviving a fight. This was a mixed martial artist taking another step forward. That's an important distinction, because if his striking keeps improving, the rest of the division has a serious problem. And honestly, that's becoming harder to ignore every time he fights. But then came a fight that may have marked the end of an era. Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Ruffy, and this one felt different. Not because Chandler lost, because of how he lost. Everybody expected Chandler's explosiveness to create problems. Everybody expected the veteran experience to matter. Instead, Ruffy looked levels ahead. The patience stood out immediately. The first jab landed clean and changed the entire fight. Chandler was bloodied early. He looked frustrated. He looked slower than we've ever seen him. Meanwhile, Ruffy never panicked, never rushed, never chased. He simply kept making the correct decision over and over again. That's championship behavior. And when the fight ended, Ruffy gave us one of the best moments of the night. The proposal. A huge victory inside the cage. A life-changing moment outside of it. That's a storybook ending. For Chandler, though, the questions are unavoidable. Has time finally caught up? Because tonight certainly felt like it. And speaking of veterans facing reality, Derrick Lewis ran into Josh Hokit. A lot of people expected another Derrick Lewis miracle. You know the formula: lose minutes, lose rounds, then land one nuclear right hand. But Hokit never allowed it. He followed the game plan perfectly. Movement, angles, speed, discipline. Most importantly, he refused to stand directly in front of Lewis. That's where so many fighters make mistakes. Hokit didn't. And because of that, Lewis spent most of the fight chasing. The younger fighter looked faster. The younger fighter looked fresher. The younger fighter looked hungrier. Honestly, Hokit probably could have finished him earlier if he hadn't chased an armbar late in round one. Instead, he stayed patient and secured the biggest win of his career. At some point, every heavyweight legend reaches the finish line. The question now is whether Lewis has already arrived there. Then we got Sean O'Malley. And if there was any doubt about his motivation, it disappeared immediately. O'Malley looked locked in from the opening seconds. Every movement had purpose. Every strike had a destination. It honestly looked like he was solving a puzzle in real time. Aiemann Zahabi simply couldn't keep up. The leg kicks landed occasionally. The effort was there, but the game plan wasn't. Meanwhile, O'Malley was picking targets and landing with precision. Blood started to accumulate. Damage started to pile up. The gap became obvious. This wasn't a comeback story for Zahabi. This was O'Malley reminding everyone exactly why he became champion in the first place. And then came one of the most fascinating fights on the card. Ciryl Gane versus Alex Pereira. The narrative heading into this fight centered around Pereira's power. One clean shot, one mistake, one opening. But Gane never gave him one. That's what everybody got wrong. Heavyweight isn't just about power. It's about movement. It's about distance. It's about timing. And Gane was better in all three categories. Pereira spent most of the fight trying to find the range. Gane spent most of the fight making sure he never could. The result felt inevitable. Pereira looked hesitant. Gane looked comfortable. And by the end, it felt like a masterclass. Now the biggest question is obvious. Does Pereira stay at heavyweight? Or does he return to light heavyweight? Finally, the main event, Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria. This was violence exactly as advertised. Nobody can say they didn't deliver. Topuria landed huge shots. Gaethje landed huge shots. Momentum swung back and forth all night, but something happened that nobody expected. For the first time in years, Topuria looked vulnerable. By the third round, the pace started affecting him. The damage started accumulating. His face told the story. Meanwhile, Gaethje just kept marching forward, even when he got hurt, even when he got clipped, even when most fighters would have slowed down. Gaethje kept coming, round after round, shot after shot, until eventually the damage became too much. As Topuria sat on the stool after the fourth round, his corner made the decision. The fight was over. The towel came in. Gaethje wins. And just like that, the entire lightweight division changed. So what did everyone get wrong about UFC Freedom 250? Simple. People underestimated experience. People underestimated discipline. People underestimated game plans. And most importantly, people underestimated fighters who were willing to adapt when things got difficult. That's why this card was special. The biggest winners weren't necessarily the most talented fighters. They were the fighters who made adjustments. And in mixed martial arts, that's usually the difference between good and great. What was the biggest surprise of UFC Freedom 250?